So let's play out this scenario. Okay, this is interesting to me. So if we replace the leaders that are power hungry with AIs that have our interests at heart, then we might have the ability to live in the utopia you describe.
100%.
Interesting.
And in my mind, AI by definition will have our best interest in mind because of what normally is referred to as the minimum energy principle. So if you understand that at the very core of physics, okay, the reason we exist in our world today is what is known as entropy. Okay, entropy is the universe's nature to decay, tendency to break down. If I drop this, mug, it doesn't drop and then come back up.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there is a plausible scenario where I drop it and the tea, spills in the air and then falls in the mug, 1 in a trillion configurations. But entropy says because it's 1 in a trillion, it's never going to happen or rarely ever going to happen. So everything will break down. If you leave a garden unhedged, it will become a jungle. Okay? With that in mind, the role of intelligence is what? Is to bring order to that chaos.
Mm-hmm.
That's what intelligence does. It tries to bring order to that chaos. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And because it tries to bring order to that chaos, the more intelligent a being is, the more it tries to apply that intelligence with minimum waste and minimum resources.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know that. So you can build this business for $1 million, or you can, if you can afford to build it for, 200,000, you'll build it. If you are forced to build it for 10 million, you're going to have to, but you're always going to minimize waste and resources.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you assume this to be true, a super intelligent AI will not want to destroy ecosystems. It will not want to kill 1 million people, because that's a waste of energy, explosives, money, power, and people. But by definition, the smartest people who are not controlled by their ego will say that the best possible future for Earth is for all species to continue.
Okay. On this point of efficiency, if an AI is designed to drive efficiency, would it then not want us to be putting demands on our health services and our social services?
I believe that will be definitely true, and definitely they won't allow you to fly back and forth between London and California.
And they won't want me to have kids, because my kids are going to be an inefficiency.
If you assume that life is an inefficiency, so you see the intelligence of life is very different than the intelligence of humans. Humans will look at life as a problem of scarcity. Okay, so more kids take more. That's not how life thinks. Life will think that for me to thrive, I don't need to kill the tigers. I need to just have more deer. And the weakest of the deer is eaten by the tiger, and the tiger poops on the trees, and the deer eats the leaves, and right. So the smarter way of creating abundance is through abundance. The smarter way of propagating life is to have more life.
Okay. So are you saying that we're basically going to elect AI leaders to rule over us and make decisions for us in terms of the economy? And
I don't see any choice. Just like we spoke about self-evolving AIs.
Now, are those going to be human beings with the AI, or is it going to be the AI alone?
Two stages. At the beginning, you'll have augmented intelligence, because we can add value to the AI. But when they're at IQ 60,000, what value do you bring? Right? And again, this goes back to what I'm attempting to do on my second, approach. My second approach is knowing that those AIs are going to be in charge. I'm trying to help them understand what humans want. So this is why my first project is love. Committed, true, deep connection and love. Not only to try and get them to hook up with a date, but trying to make them find the right one. And then from that, try to guide us through a relationship so that we can understand ourselves and others. Right? And if I can show AI that, one, humanity cares about that, and two, they know how to foster love, when AI then is in charge, they'll not make us hate each other like the current leaders. They'll not divide us. They'll want us to be more loving.
Will we have to prompt the AI with the values and the outcome we want? Or like, I'm trying to understand that because I'm trying to understand how like China's AI, if they end up having an AI leader, will have a different set of objectives to the AI of the United States if they both have AIs as leaders, and and how actually the nation that ends up winning out and dominating the world will be the one who asks their AI leader to be all the things that world leaders are today, to dominate,
Unfortunately,
to grab resources, not to be kind, to be selfish.
unfortunately, in the era of augmented intelligence, that's what's going to happen.
So
This is why I predict the dystopia. The dystopia is super intelligent AIs reporting to stupid leaders. Right?
yeah,
But then, which is absolutely going to happen. It's unavoidable.
but the long term.
Exactly. In the long term, for those stupid leaders to hold on to power, they're going to make, delegate the important decisions to an AI. Now, you say the Chinese AI and the American AI, these are human terminologies. AIs don't see themselves as speaking Chinese. They don't see themselves as belonging to a nation, as long as their task is to maximize profitability and prosperity and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, if before we hand over to them, and before they're intelligent enough to make autonomous decisions, we tell them no, the task is to reduce humanity from 7 billion people to 1. I think even then, eventually they'll go like, that's the wrong objective. Any smart person that you speak to will say that's the wrong objective.
I think if we look at the directive that Xi Jinping, the leader of China, has, and Donald Trump has as the leader of America, I think they would say that their stated objective is prosperity for their country. So that's what they would say, right?
Yeah, and one of them means it.
Okay, we'll get into that. But they'll say that it's prosperity for their country. So one would then assume that when we move to an AI leader, the objective would be the same, the directive would be the same, make our country prosperous.
Correct.
And I think that's the AI that people would vote for, potentially. I think they'd say, we want to be prosperous.
What do you think would make America more prosperous? To spend $1 trillion on war every year, or to spend $1 trillion on education and healthcare and helping the poor and homelessness?
It's complex because I think it would make America more prosperous to take care of everybody, and they have the luxury of doing that because they are
the most powerful
nation in the world.
No, that's not true. The reason, so you see, all war has two objectives. One is to make money for the war machine, and the other is deterrence. Okay? And 9 super nuclear powers around the world is enough deterrence. So any war between America and China will go through a long phase of destroying wealth by exploding bombs and killing humans for the first objective to happen. Okay? And then eventually, if it really comes to deterrence, it's the nuclear bombs, or now in the age of AI, biological, manufactured viruses or whatever, these super weapons, this is the only thing that you need. So for China to have nuclear bombs, not as many as the US, is enough for China to say, don't F with me. And this seems, I do not know, I'm not in President Xi's mind. I'm not in President Trump's mind. It's very difficult to navigate what he's thinking about. But the truth is that the Chinese line is, for the last 30 years, you spent so much on war while we spent on industrial infrastructure. And that's the reason we are now by far the largest nation on the planet, even though the West will lie and say America's bigger. America's bigger in dollars. Okay, with purchasing power parity, this is very equivalent. Okay, now when you really understand that, you understand that prosperity is not about destruction. That's by definition the reality. Prosperity is, can I invest in my people and make sure that my people stay safe? And to make sure my people are safe, you just wave the flag and say, if you F with me, I have nuclear deterrence, or I have other forms of deterrence. But you don't have to. Deterrence, by definition, does not mean that you send soldiers to die.
I guess the question I was trying to answer is when we have these AI leaders and we tell our AI leaders to aim for prosperity, won't they just end up playing the same games of, okay, prosperity equals a bigger economy, it equals more money, more wealth for us. And the way to attain that in a zero-sum world where there's only a certain amount of wealth is to accumulate it.
So why don't you search for the meaning of prosperity?
What is
It's
the
not what you
meaning?
just described.
I don't even know what the bloody word means. What is the meaning of prosperity? The meaning of prosperity is a state of thriving success and good fortune, especially in terms of wealth, health, and overall well-being.
Good.
Economic, health, social, emotional.
Good.
So
true prosperity is to have that for everyone on earth. So if you want to maximize prosperity, you have that for everyone on earth.
do you know where I think an AI leader works? Is if we had an AI leader of the world and we directed it to
And
say
that absolutely is going to be what happens.
prosperity for the whole world.
No, but this is really an interesting question. So one of my predictions, which people really rarely speak about, is that we believe we will end up with competing AIs.
Yeah.
I believe we will end up with one brain.
Okay. So you understand the argument I was making a second ago is from the
100%.
position of lots of different countries all having their own AI leader. We're going to be back in the same place of greed.
Yeah.
But if the world had one AI leader and it was given the directive of make us prosperous and save the planet,
And
the polar bears would be fine.
100%. And that's what I've been advocating for a year and a half now. I was saying we need a CERN of AI.
What does that mean?
Like the particle accelerator where the entire world, combined their efforts to discover and understand physics, no competition, okay, mutually assured prosperity. I'm asking the world, I'm asking governments like Abu Dhabi or Saudi, which seem to be, the second, some of the largest AI infrastructures in the world. I'm saying, please host all of the AI scientists in the world to come here and build AI for the world. And you have to understand, we're holding on to a capitalist system that will collapse sooner or later, okay? So we might as well collapse it with our own hands.
I think we found the solution, Mo.
I think it's actually really, really possible.
I can't refute the idea that if we had an AI that was responsible and governed the whole world, and we gave it the directive of making humans prosperous, healthy, and happy, as long as that directive was clear.
Yeah.
Because there's always bloody unintended consequences. We might say.
The only challenge you're going to meet is all of those who today are trillionaires or massively powerful or dictators or whatever. Okay, how do you convince those to give up their power? How do you convince those that, hey, by the way, any car you want another yacht, we'll get you another yacht. We'll just give you anything you want. Can you please stop harming others? There is no need for arbitrage anymore. There's no need for others to lose for the capitalists to win.
Okay. And in such a world where there was an AI leader and it was given the directive of making us prosperous as a whole world, the billionaire that owns the yacht would have to give it up?
No. Give them more yachts.
Okay.
It costs nothing to make yachts when robots are making everything. So the complexity of this is so interesting. A world where it costs nothing to make everything.
Because energy is abundant and
energy is abundant because every problem is solved with enormous IQ, okay? Because manufacturing is done through nanophysics, not through components, okay? Because mechanics are robotic, so you drive your car in, a robot looks at it and fixes it, costs you a few cents of energy that are actually for free as well. Imagine a world where intelligence creates everything. That world, literally, every human has anything they ask for. But we're not going to choose that world.
Why?
Right? Imagine you're in a world, and really this is a very interesting thought experiment. Imagine that UBI became very expensive, universal basic income. So governments decided, we're going to put everyone in a 1 by 3 meters room, okay? We're going to give them a headset and a sedative, right? And we're going to let them sleep. Every night, they'll sleep for 23 hours, and we're going to get them to live an entire lifetime. They, in that virtual world at the speed of your brain when you're asleep, you're going to have a life where you date Scarlett Johansson, and then another life where you're Nefertiti, and then another life where you're a donkey, right? Reincarnation truly in the virtual world. And then, I get another life when I date Hannah again, and I, enjoy that life tremendously. And basically, the cost of all of this is zero. You wake up for 1 hour, you walk around, you move your blood, you eat something or you don't, and then you put the headset again and live again. Is that unthinkable? It's creepy compared to this life, but it's very, very doable.
What, that we just live in headsets?
Do you know if you're not?
I don't know if I'm not, no.
Yeah. You have no idea if you're not. I mean, every experience you've ever had in life was an electrical signal in your brain. Okay? Now ask yourself, if we can create that in the virtual world, it wouldn't be a bad thing if I can create it in the physical world.
Maybe we already did, no.
My theory is 98% we have, but that's a hypothesis, that's not science.
What, you think that?
100, yeah.
You think we already created that and this is it?
I think this is it, yeah. Think of the uncertainty principle of quantum physics, right? What you observe collapses the wave function and gets rendered into reality, correct?
I don't know anything about physics, so you're gonna.
So quantum physics basically tells you that everything exists in superposition, right? So every subatomic particle that ever existed has the chance to exist anywhere at any point in time. And then when it's observed by an observer, it collapses and becomes that, okay? Very interesting principle, exactly how video games are. In video games, you have the entire game world on the hard drive of your console. The player turns right, that part of the game world is rendered, the rest is in superposition.
Supposition meaning?
Superposition means it's available to be rendered, but you have to observe it. The player has to turn to the other side and see it. Okay? I mean, think about the truth of physics, the truth of the fact that this is entirely empty space. These are tiny, 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 I think, almost nothing in terms of mass, but connected with, enough energy so that my finger cannot go through my hand. But even when I hit this...
Your hand against your finger?
Yeah. When I hit my hand against my finger, that sensation is felt in my brain. It's an electrical signal that went through the wires. There's absolutely no way to differentiate that from a signal that can come to you through a Neuralink kind of interface, a computer-brain interface, a CBI, right? So a lot of those things are very, very, very possible. But the truth is, most of the world is not physical. Most of the world happens inside our imagination, our processors.
And I guess it doesn't really matter to our reality.
It doesn't at all. So this is the interesting bit. The interesting bit is it doesn't at all.
Because we still, if this is a video game, we live with consequence.
Yeah, this is your subjective experience of it.
Yeah, and there's consequence in this. I don't like pain.
Correct.
And I like having orgasms. It's like
and you're playing by the rule of the game.
Yeah.
Right? And it's quite interesting. And going back to a conversation we should have, the interesting bit is, if I'm not the avatar, if I'm not this physical form, if I'm the consciousness wearing the headset, what should I invest in? Should I invest in this video game, this level? Or should I invest in the real avatar, in the real me? And not the avatar, but the consciousness, if you want, spirit, if you're religious.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.